Welcome back, my fiscally entangled entities. I'm your quantum superposition of bull and bear markets, simultaneously riding the peaks and valleys of every possible economic outcome. You're tuned into the Multiverse Employee Handbook, the only podcast that treats your career trajectory like a closed, time-like curve through the stock exchange. In our last episode, we explored the wibbly-wobbly world of the Ninth Doctor, where we learned that regenerating your professional persona is less about updating your LinkedIn profile and more about hoping your next incarnation isn't inexplicably obsessed with celery as an accessory. But today, dear listeners, we're venturing into even more treacherous territory. We're diving headfirst into the financial black hole known as Chapter 11. So strap in and hold on to your quantum wallets. We're about to explore what happens when your assets go ass up across infinite realities. Now, let us consult the sacred text of the Multiverse Employee Handbook. Chapter 11. And lo, it came to pass that the corporation faced great tribulation, for its finances were as unstable as a quantum particle. The board of directors, in their infinite wisdom, did gather in the astral plane to deliberate upon the fate of Infinite Incorporated. And they spoke, saying, "Let us restructure our debts across all possible realities, that we may continue to exist in at least 51% of known universes. Therefore, all employees are hereby notified that Infinite Incorporated has filed for multiversal bankruptcy protection under Chapter 11 of the Cosmic Commercial Code. Fear not, for this is but a temporary setback in the grand tapestry of our interdimensional enterprise. As it is written in the ancient texts of corporate law, that which can be reorganized shall emerge stronger, like a phoenix rising from the ashes of its balance sheets. And so it shall be that our assets, though scattered across dimensions, shall be tallied by the quantum accountants, whose calculators exist in superposition of profit and loss. Yea, though we walk through the valley of the shadow of debt, we shall fear no creditor, for the labyrinth of interdimensional bureaucracy is our shepherd. Let all those with ears to hear attend to these words, for they are the foundation upon which our multiversal financial recovery shall be built." Well, my probabilistically insolvent colleagues, it seems we have quite the fiscal conundrum on our hands. Who knew that balancing the books could be as tricky as maintaining quantum coherence in a room-temperature superconductor? But fear not. For in the grand ledger of the multiverse, every debit has an equal and opposite credit. Somewhere. It's simply a matter of finding which universe is hoarding all our profits. Perhaps it's the one where money really does grow on trees, or where cryptocurrency is actually backed by something more stable than the collective fever dreams of tech bros and meme lords. Stay tuned as we next explore the parable of the Perpetual Pivot, a cautionary tale of corporate reincarnation gone horribly, hilariously wrong. Remember, in the multiverse of business, it's not about how many times you fall into bankruptcy, but how many realities you manage to stay solvent in. Gather round, my fiscally fluctuating friends, for the tale of Omnicorp Infinite, a company so innovative it disrupted the very fabric of financial reality. In the gleaming interdimensional headquarters of Omnicorp Infinite, CEO Max Momentum stood before a holographic board, showing an infinite array of parallel universes. Each reality flickered between red and green, representing the company's ever-shifting financial status across the multiverse. "Colleagues," Max announced to his board of directors and their infinite alternate selves attending via quantum entanglement, "I have brilliant news. We've achieved a perfect balance of success and failure across all known realities." The board members exchanged glances, their expressions a superposition of confusion and concern. "You see," Max continued, his grin widening to Cheshire Cat proportions. In precisely 50% of all universes, we're utterly bankrupt. But in the other 50%, we're inconceivably wealthy. We're simultaneously the most successful and the most failed company in existence. Dr. Schrödinger, the CFO, that's Chaos Financial Officer, raised a tentative hand. But sir, doesn't that just mean we're breaking even? Max's grin, if possible, grew even wider. Exactly, and that's where the genius lies. We're now poised to execute the Perpetual Pivot. And so began Omnicorp Infinite's grand strategy. In universes where they were bankrupt, they filed for Chapter 11 protection, restructured, and rebounded. In universes where they were successful, they took ludicrous risks, inevitably leading to spectacular bankruptcies. The result? A constant flux of fortune, a never-ending cycle of boom and bust across infinite realities. Omnicorp Infinite became a multiversal perpetual motion machine of financial instability. Employees found themselves in a constant state of quantum career superposition. One day, they'd be clearing out their desks in Universe A, only to find themselves accepting a massive promotion in Universe B. The annual Christmas party was simultaneously a somber gathering in a dimly lit office and a bacchanalian feast aboard a luxury spaceship. The accountants developed a peculiar form of multiversal vertigo, their minds struggling to reconcile balance sheets that were, by definition, always perfectly balanced, yet wildly out of sync. Meanwhile, Max Momentum reveled in the chaos. "Don't you see?" he exclaimed during a board meeting that was simultaneously a celebration of record profits and an emergency session to declare bankruptcy. "We've transcended traditional notions of success and failure. We are the ultimate corporate entity." But as Omnicorp Infinite oscillated wildly between ruin and riches across the multiverse, cracks began to appear in the very fabric of economic reality. Stock markets across dimensions began to synchronize in unprecedented ways. The intergalactic exchange rate became a Klein bottle of fiscal impossibility. It all came to a head when a junior accountant from Universe Z23, in a desperate attempt to make sense of it all, divided by zero on his quantum abacus.
Whoa.
The resulting financial singularity began to swallow entire market sectors. As panic spread across the multiverse, Max Momentum called one final board meeting. Addressing an infinite array of anxious faces across countless realities, he declared, "Fear not. This is just another pivot. We're not facing multiversal economic collapse. We're disrupting the very concept of economic reality itself." And so, as entire economies winked out of existence and new, bizarre forms of value emerged from the quantum foam, Omnicorp Infinite achieved its ultimate goal. It became too big to fail, not just in one universe, but in all of them simultaneously. The moral of the story, dear listeners: in the grand economic tapestry of the multiverse, success and failure are just different threads in the same cosmic sweater. Or perhaps the lesson is that if you pivot enough times, you'll eventually make yourself dizzy. Or maybe, just maybe, it's a reminder that in the face of infinite financial possibilities, sometimes the wisest course of action is to simply pack up your desk, clock out, and hope that in at least one universe you remembered to buy lottery tickets. And there you have it, my economically entangled audience. The parable of the Perpetual Pivot, a cautionary tale for our times and all possible times. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to check if my multiversal 401k has collapsed into a singularity or expanded into an infinite series of penny stocks. Stay tuned! Now, let's delve deeper into the arcane wisdom of Chapter 11, shall we? And lo, the quantum accountants did speak, saying, "Let there be flexible fiscal realities. For as time dilates, so too shall the payment schedules of our debtors and creditors. Behold, the interest rates shall be as the quantum foam, unpredictable, fluctuating, and existing in all states until observed by the Federal Reserve of the Multiverse." Ah, the sweet poetry of interdimensional finance. But what does it all mean, you ask? Well, my temporally solvent subscribers, it's time for a crash course in time dilation and its mind-bending effects on multiversal economics. As Einstein taught us in his theory of relativity, time is not a constant. It can stretch and contract like a cosmic accordion, depending on factors like gravity and velocity. Now, imagine applying this principle to your company's fiscal year. Picture this. You've got a branch office orbiting a supermassive black hole. Time moves slower there due to intense gravitational forces. So, while your Earthbound HQ has gone through 5 fiscal quarters, that office has only experienced 1. Talk about extending your deadlines. But it's not all cosmic cocktails and extended vacations. This time, dilation can wreak havoc on your financial planning. Enter the concept of quantum interest rates. In traditional finance, interest rates are boring, static things. But in our multiversal economy, they exist in a superposition of all possible values until observed by an auditor. Your loan could simultaneously have a 1% interest rate and a 1,000% interest rate. It's only when you make a payment, or desperately try to avoid one, that the wave function collapses and you discover whether you're getting a bargain or being royally fleeced. And let's not forget about Schrödinger's assets. These are resources that, like our feline friend, exist in a state of quantum superposition. Is that hedge fund alive with profit or dead in the water? You won't know until you open the box, or in this case, the quarterly report. Here's where it gets really fun. Due to time dilation, your assets could be appreciating at light speed in one universe while depreciating faster than a lead balloon in another. Your job as a multiversal financier is to somehow balance these cosmic ledgers. Consider the temporal arbitrage opportunities. Buy low in a fast-time universe, sell high in a slow-time universe. Just be careful not to create a temporal paradox, or you might end up being your own grandfather and inheriting your own debt. And don't even get me started on multiversal taxes. The IRS of Universe A might think you owe 50 years of back taxes, while you've only experienced 5 years due to relativistic effects. Try explaining that to an auditor whose concept of time is purely linear.
Wait, what?
So, how do we navigate this fiscal funhouse? Well, the quantum accountants suggest a technique called superposition budgeting. Simply allocate your resources as if they simultaneously exist in all possible states. Sure, it might drive you mad, but at least you'll be covered in every conceivable financial outcome. Remember, in the multiverse, compound interest isn't just powerful, it's downright apocalyptic. A penny saved in the right universe today could be enough to buy out entire galactic conglomerates in 1 billion years. Or it could be utterly worthless when that universe's sun goes supernova next Tuesday. The key is to embrace the uncertainty. After all, in the grand quantum ledger of existence, we're all just trying to balance our cosmic books and hope we don't accidentally erase ourselves from the space-time continuum in the process. Stay tuned, folks. When we return, we'll explore the exciting world of office-related quantum economics. Ever wondered how to expense a business lunch when you exist in a superposition of hunger states? Stick around to find out. All right, my temporally tangled teammates, let's dive into the mind-bending world of time dilation. Buckle up, because we're about to make your atomic watches look like sundials in a cosmic sandstorm. Time dilation, in its simplest terms, is the difference in elapsed time measured by two clocks due to either a velocity difference between them or a difference in gravitational potential at their locations. In other words, time isn't the strict universal constant we once thought it was. It's more like a cosmic rubber band, stretching and contracting depending on how fast you're moving or how close you are to a massive object. This wild idea was first proposed by none other than Albert Einstein in his 1905 paper on special relativity. Einstein, who apparently had too much time on his hands, pun absolutely intended, suggested that time and space were interconnected in ways that would make even the most twisted pretzel jealous. But how does this temporal tango actually work? Well, there are two main flavors of time dilation: velocity time dilation and gravitational time dilation. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but where's the proof? Well, hold on to your half-lives, because we're about to get experimental. One of the earliest confirmations of time dilation came from the Huffel-Keating experiment in 1971. These clever scientists took atomic clocks on commercial airline flights around the world, then compared them to identical clocks that stayed on the ground. The result? The airborne clocks were a few nanoseconds behind their earthbound counterparts, exactly as Einstein's theory predicted. It's like jet lag, but for time itself. But wait, there's more! GPS satellites, those helpful little space beacons that stop you from getting lost on your way to interdimensional board meetings, have to account for time dilation effects. Without corrections, they'd drift by about 38 microseconds per day due to their high orbit and velocity. That might not sound like much, but it would translate to navigation errors of several kilometers per day. Imagine trying to explain to your boss that you're late because your GPS thinks you're in a parallel universe. For an even more extreme example, look no further than the Gravity Probe A experiment in 1976. NASA launched a rocket carrying a super-precise atomic clock to an altitude of 10,000 kilometers. At that height, time ticked about 4.5 parts in 10 to the power of 10 faster than on Earth. That's not much, but remember, when we're dealing with cosmic scales, even tiny differences can add up faster than expenses on a business trip to Alpha Centauri. So, what does all this mean for the future of space travel and timekeeping? Well, for one, it means that astronauts on the International Space Station are actually time travelers. They age about 0.007 seconds, less per 6-month stint than they would on Earth. It's not exactly Planet of the Apes level time travel, but hey, every millisecond counts when you're trying to extend your cosmic coffee break. For precision timekeeping, it means our most accurate clocks have to account for their height above the Earth's surface. Move a clock up by just 33 centimeters, 1 foot, and it'll tick faster by 1 part in 10 to the power of 16. That's like your watch gaining 1 second every 300 million years. Not much for planning your lunch break, but crucial if you're trying to synchronize quantum computers across the multiverse. In the end, time dilation reminds us that in this vast, weird universe of ours, even something as fundamental as time isn't as straightforward as we once thought. It's a cosmic dance of velocity, gravity, and mind-bending physics. So the next time you're late for a meeting, just tell your boss you got caught in a time dilation field. It probably won't work, but hey, in some parallel universe, it just might. Gather round the quantum water cooler, my fiscally flummoxed friends. It's time for some interdimensional water cooler talk about everyone's favorite cosmic killjoys, Interdimensional debt collectors. First tip: if you see a being with tentacles holding a clipboard approaching your cubicle, don't panic. It's probably just ZXR backs from accounts receivable. Or it could be a debt collector from Universe X593, where all financial transactions are conducted via telepathic cephalopods. Either way, stay calm and don't make any sudden movements. Tentacle shakes are considered legally binding in at least 17 dimensions. Now, let me regale you with the tale of Bob from marketing, who tried to outsmart an interdimensional debt collector. Bob thought he was clever, hopping between parallel universes faster than you can say compound interest. Little did he know, the Multiversal Revenue Service had installed quantum entanglement trackers in his corporate credit card. Poor Bob found himself simultaneously arrested in every reality where he'd ever expense-accounted a lunch. The moral of the story? Always keep your receipts. And maybe don't try to expense that Dyson sphere. Of course, we must discuss the Multiversal Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, or MFDCPA for those who enjoy acronyms more convoluted than a quantum encryption algorithm. Under the MFDCPA, debt collectors are strictly prohibited from 1. Threatening to erase your existence from the space-time continuum. 2. Repossessing your alternate selves as collateral. 3. Using time travel to collect debts before they're due. However, post-dating checks to the heat death of the universe is still fair game. 4. Garnishing your wages across more than 10 to the power of 500 parallel timelines simultaneously. Remember, knowledge of multiversal law is your best defense. Well, that and a portable wormhole generator. But legal says I'm not allowed to recommend those anymore after the Bring Your Singularity to Workday incident. Now, for those of you looking to, shall we say, optimize your debt repayment strategies, let's discuss some quantum loopholes and time dilation tactics. Standard disclaimer: the Multiverse Employee Handbook does not endorse chrono financial fraud, at least not in this particular branch of reality. 1. The Schrödinger's debt gambit. Argue that your debt exists in a superposition of paid and unpaid states until observed by an auditor. Warning: this may result in your credit score also existing in a superposition of excellent and abysmal. 2. The time dilation delay. Conduct all your financial transactions near the event horizon of a black hole. By the time the paperwork reaches your creditors, several galactic epochs will have passed, and your debt will be as ancient as a dial-up modem. 3. The quantum tunneling. Escape. Randomly tunnel through the quantum foam to emerge in a parallel universe where you're debt-free. Caution: you may also emerge in a universe where you owe even more, or worse, where you're the debt collector. 4. The infinite improbability drive defense. Argue that in an infinite multiverse, there must be a reality where you've already paid your debt. Insist that this is that reality, and that any evidence to the contrary is clearly a clerical error in the cosmic ledger. Remember, folks, while these tactics might sound appealing, they're about as reliable as a chocolate teapot in a supernova. The Multiversal Revenue Service didn't get to where it is by falling for transdimensional tricks. They've got agents in every when and whatever, armed with paradox-proof calculators and a complete disregard for the linear flow of time. So, in the end, the best way to deal with interdimensional debt? Pay it off the old-fashioned way, with good old-fashioned hard work, smart financial planning, and if all else fails, a lottery ticket blessed by a quantum probability shaman. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I see a debt collector from Universe Y72 trying to quantum tunnel through the vending machine. Remember, you didn't hear any of this from me, and if anyone asks, I'm on a business trip to the Andromeda Galaxy. 5 million years ago. Well, my financially fluctuating friends, we've reached the end of another mind-bending episode. Let's recap our journey through the fiscal fabric of the multiverse. We've learned that in the grand cosmic ledger, bankruptcy is less a state of financial ruin and more a superposition of fiscal possibilities. Remember, your assets might be depleted in this universe, but in another, you're probably swimming in a pool of liquid assets. Possibly, literally. We've explored the timey-wimey world of time dilation and its effects on multiversal finance. Who knew that Einstein's theories could be so relevant to your expense reports? Just remember, if you're ever late with your TPS reports, you can always blame it on relativistic effects. And let's not forget our lessons in dodging interdimensional debt collectors. Remember, when all else fails, you can always try to argue that in an infinite multiverse, there must be a reality where you've already paid your debt. It probably won't work, but hey, it's worth a shot. Now, brace yourselves for our next episode, M-Theory and Meetings About Meetings. We'll explore the mind-bending world where string theory collides with corporate culture. Did you know that M-Theory predicts the existence of 11 dimensions? Well, coincidentally, that's also the average number of pointless meetings you'll sit through this week. Get ready to discover why every decision made in a meeting spawns an entirely new universe, why action items are actually vibrating cosmic strings, and why that one coworker who always derails the agenda might actually be a transdimensional being trying to collapse our reality. We'll also delve into the quantum mechanics of meeting dynamics. Learn why your project's deadline is simultaneously imminent and infinitely far away, and why Schrödinger's cat is both alive and dead, but still somehow got appointed as the new team leader. So tune in next time when we'll answer the age-old question: if a meeting happens in a parallel universe and no one takes minutes, does it make a sound? Until then, this is your host, existing in a superposition of signing off and starting the next episode. Remember, in the multiverse of corporate culture, every meeting is simultaneously the most important event in history and a complete waste of time. It's up to you to collapse that wave function.
Hello, this is Abby calling from Bristol, England. The Multiverse Employee Handbook was created by Rob Corrigan, is edited by Matt Parkman, and narrated by David from 11 Labs. All science fact-checking is done by Mohinder Suresh. The Employee Handbook staff includes Claire Bennett, Hiro Nakamura,